The headline in Financial Times: Trump condemned for WHO fund freeze as coronavirus rages. The president saying, quote, American taxpayers provide between $400 million and $500 million per year to the WHO, in contrast to China, which contributes roughly $40 million a year. Even less, Mr. Trump said. As the organization's leading sponsor, the U.S. has a duty to insist on full accountability. The Times writes the European Commission said the EU backed the WHO in its efforts to contain the pandemic and was weighing a response to the U.S. move. Quote, this is the time for solidarity, not for finger-pointing or undermining multilateral cooperation. Do you think the Trump administration, the president, is in a position to get support, to pressure the WHO for more transparency, particularly on the issues you've pointed out about lack of information from Taiwan?
Sure. I think that if you take back or go back a couple of days, rather, there was increasing outrage on the part of not just developed countries like the United Kingdom or other European countries, but developing countries in Africa and other places in reaction to China's lack of cooperation, lack of transparency, and its role in facilitating the spread of COVID-19. And that was building. And I think the U.S. government could have really taken that and added to that momentum and gotten some significant changes to the World Health Organization, could have gotten support for a thorough investigation, independent external investigation into the actions of the World Health Organization and the potential influence of China over its decision making. Unfortunately, with the announcement that the U.S. is going to cut funding, now everybody is focused on that. And I think the U.S., unfortunately, has diverted attention from where it should be by its decision to halt funding immediately. I think the better step would have been to inform the world and other countries and the World Health Organization that future U.S. funding is dependent on reforms and an external independent investigation of what happened here. The focus should be going forward, not necessarily on the immediate response, because while the United States and other countries have the resources to deal with their outbreaks domestically, even though here in the United States and other countries, that is straining us considerably. Countries like developing countries in Africa and Latin America and Asia, they're going to depend on the World Health Organization to help them in their response. And they're going to interpret the announcement by the administration as abandoning them in a time of their need. And that's not the way to get their cooperation. We should be focused on trying to, get the investigation done down the road when this crisis is passed. B, get the reforms of the World Health Organization necessary to prevent a repetition of this problem. And C, focus and promote our efforts to work with countries both bilaterally and through multilateral organizations to try and help them deal with this current crisis.
Brett Schaefer is our guest. He is an International Regulatory Affairs Fellow at the Heritage Foundation, and we're talking about the role of the World Health Organization and the President's announcement on defunding that organization, withholding funding from that organization. Welcome your phone calls and comments. 202-748 8000 is the number to call for those of you in the Eastern and Central time zones. 202-748-8001, Mountain and Pacific.